Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the most underrated true crime YouTuber that I've come across recently, Derek Judd. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Derek runs a channel called the Cowboy Criminologist, and I stumbled across his channel because I was researching something that I was doing on Kfar's channel, who may or may not be in the chat. I haven't checked yet, but it was about that lawyer in Michigan who, like, tried to kidnap a coworker or something like that.
Yeah, something pretty close to that. Levi Smith. Uh,
Yeah.
they they were acquaintances, one thing or another, and
Mhm.
then he tried to break into her house, but she had a security alarm that notified everybody. It was an exterior security alarm. It went off, and when the police found him, he had put together a kill kit.
Yeah.
There's no other word for it.
Yeah, it was like handcuffs and duct tape and the whole thing.
Gun, knife. I mean, yeah, it was like a serial killer starter kit. It was incredible,
S
and yeah, he was a lawyer before all this
Yep.
happened, and now he's
Ye
looking at like 25 years
Yeah.
minimum. So it's crazy.
But you were one of the very few people I saw talking about it, so I did find your channel, and then one weekend, I don't know, about a month ago, I just binged your channel all weekend, and it was awesome. So I highly suggest every single one of you goes over to his channel. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now, and subscribe. Like, I'll even allow you to leave right now and go subscribe and then come back just because it's that good. I wouldn't steer you wrong. I've never steered you wrong before. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. Oh, number 2 already did. Look at that. Thank you, number 2. Thank you to my mods. I appreciate you guys. But yeah, everybody go subscribe to the Cowboy Criminology. And if you're here from his channel, why not hit the subscribe button over here? Why not? We do this every Sunday at 4:30 Eastern.
Kiwi Nan, she's one of mine.
You see some of your people. Hi, Kiwi. Please subscribe. If you think I've earned a like, hit the like button too. Don't do it unless I earn it though. So hold off. Just so all of the new people here know, when somebody super chats or supports the channel in any way over here, my co-host, thank you very much, Ron, for the super chat. I'm glad you did that so I can let the people know. If you donate over on this channel, my co-host Xena, there she is, gets a milk bone on air. That is what we do over here. We talk about lots of gruesome stuff, so sometimes you just need to give the puppy a milk bone, right? Hey Xena, wake up. Ron loves you. This is Xena, everyone. She's my co-host. Here we go. Wake up. There she is. She had a long day. She's had a long day. So, welcome everyone. Welcome, Derek. Today we're talking about the craziest thing I've come across in a while. I don't know about you. It's called Phrogging, and I didn't know the name of it. You actually told me the name of it. I said, "Hey, do you want to come on my channel to talk about this certain thing?" You're like, "That sounds like frogging," and I'm like, "What the heck is frogging?"
Yeah.
It's basically when somebody lives in your house while you're living there, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So it's different than squatters. Squatters just come in, take over your house, but
Mhm.
with a Frogger, they're actually intent on living there undetected.
Yeah.
And you'd like to think that it's oh, hang on just one second. So Billy
Okay.
and Wayne, hi guys, I appreciate it. That's my brother-in-law and my dad. So
Oh,
that's kind of cool.
awesome.
But yeah, so they'll live there as long as they can
Mhm.
and try to go undetected. But a lot of times the sad thing is people don't know that somebody's been living there, and more frighteningly, they find out that somebody's living there.
Yeah, and that case that we're going to talk about today has a very frightening ending. Y'all get ready for that. But when I started looking into this, I had Mr. Zed check the attic and the basement because, like, who knows who's up there? Like, who knows? You hear weird noises, you just kind of, like, brush it off like, "Oh, it's probably the wind. The pipes are making weird noises. Who knows?" But could be somebody living in your attic. So definitely, if you're not having nightmares about it, you will after this episode.
Yeah, you probably will because it's just so weird that people do this.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about a gentleman named Ezekiel Zayas and a family, the Campbell family. They moved to Hawaii. You waving at people in the chat? That's
I
funny.
am. I am. I'm a nerd. I'm sorry. I'm a
That's
nerd.
okay. That's okay. Just so you guys know, my audience sees me live every Sunday at 4:30, but Derek's never been on a live stream before. So be nice, guys. Be very nice to him. Give him all the encouragement. He's doing great. So James and Brittany Campbell, they had known each other since high school. And, they reconnected in 2017. They had dated a little bit in high school as teenagers, but they reconnect in 2017 in their 30s. They had both been in other relationships and stuff like that. They get back together, so, they fall in love. I was gonna call him Derek. You're Derek. James has 2 sons from a previous marriage, and Brittany has wanted to be a mom her whole life, so it works out perfectly, like Insta family. Right? I had this sort of the same situation when I got married to my husband. We were both 30. He had kids from a previous marriage. I wanted to be a mom my whole life. Almost the same story, which I think kind of drew me to this story. Um, in 2018, James and Brittany. Oh, I got to get my presentation ready. I forgot I did a presentation this week, guys. I went above and beyond because you're here, Derek. I don't normally do a whole thing.
I
I did
appreciate it.
I did a
Anything
whole thing.
here.
Here we go. Um, so they fly to Las Vegas and they get married at the very famous, what is it called?
Little white chap.
Little the Little Vegas Chapel by an Elvis impersonator. They get their pictures, their wedding photos in front of a pink Cadillac. How awesome is this? I kind of wish that I had just went to Vegas and got married because the stress of a wedding, and the money for a wedding, it's just like the whole point of getting married is being married. That's the most important part. And I kind of wish I'd saved all that money we spent on the wedding on the down payment for where I'm sitting right now instead of spending all that money on a wedding. But what are you going to do? You know, you live, you learn. I'm not planning on ever getting married again. I was going to say next time, but there's not going to be a next time. um, so James was in the Navy, and shortly after they got married, he gets stationed in Hawaii, which is amazing. Were you ever in the military?
Yes.
I think
Or,
I knew that, but I wasn't sure. How awesome is it to get stationed in Hawaii?
if you're a high-ranking staff non-commissioned officer or officer, it's great because if you're part of the E3 mafia like I was, uh, it's horrible. I had a bunch of friends who got stationed there right out of infantry school, and
Oh,
and they talked about having to stay on base because everything was just so expensive for them.
yeah. My husband is always a Marine, but was a Marine, retired Marine, or veteran, Marine veteran, and they sent him to Japan right out of boot camp. So he was in Sasebo, Japan, for a very long time. And then California and other places, 29 Palms. I don't know. He was all over the place, but for the most part, it was Japan and California, which California doesn't sound too bad. But Hawaii would be awesome. I kind of wish I knew him back then, and I could nudge him and say, "Try to get stationed in Hawaii, hun."
Yeah,
Have you been to Hawaii?
I have never been to Hawaii.
I have. It's beautiful. Highly recommend.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. So they get stationed in Hawaii and they go and they find a very nice house at let me see what I got going on here. It's all live, guys. So there's going to be stutters and stammers. I know that everyone from your channel is used to seeing like clean cut, tell the story. We go off on tangents around here.
I don't have anybody to go on tangents with. It's just me by myself. But they're used to the stammering and stuttering, so if they watch my channel, so they're probably all right. They're probably not going to notice too much difference. So
Yeah. So we're on Oahu here, and we're going to go to Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, which is here. I have actually been to the. Okay, so the day I was in Pearl Harbor, we went to go see the little memorial thing, and somebody had like one of the captains, like you have to take a little boat over there. And the day before we were there, once in a lifetime experience, by the way, one of the captains hit the dock. So we couldn't, they took us out there and we could look at it from the boat, but we couldn't get off onto the memorial. I don't think I'll ever be back there. It kind of stinks, but at least I was there and able to see it.
yeah, that's an awesome thing to see. It's
Yeah.
I've only gotten to see pictures, and I've heard
Mhm.
my family that's been in the military and been stationed over there, and some of my buddies, they just talk about it. And it's beautiful. It's somber.
It is somber, very somber, and you could still see like the oil dripping up to the surface, and
Yeah,
it's just like, wow, that has been, how many years has it been, and it's still. It felt like it felt like those men were trying to speak to you just by there still being movement and stuff
yeah.
down there. It was, I don't, I'm a little crazy like that, but I think of stuff like that. Anyway, back to Brittany and James. They find a nice little neighborhood. It kind of reminded them of the mainland because it was in a neighborhood with like a cul-de-sac. Um, and the way that some of the houses in Hawaii are very Hawaiian, like you could look at them and be like, oh, that's in Hawaii. This neighborhood kind of looked like a normal suburban Midwestern neighborhood, which they loved because it reminded them of home. The James had the two sons, and they moved there with their cat named Mr. Franklin. And when they got to Hawaii, they adopted a dog, which comes into play later. So remember that. They started to notice some weird stuff going on in their house. So they get to the new house. They have all of their boxes in the garage. Like they don't unpack right away. Honestly, we bought this house 17 years ago, and there's probably still boxes in the garage that we've never unpacked, you know. But they had their whole garage full of boxes. And one day, Brittany goes out to the garage to get something, and all of the boxes are like dumped over, stuff has been gone through, and she's kind of a little ticked off because she organized everything. She's very on top of stuff. So she had the boxes labeled, like this is for this is what's in this box, and now everything was just a mess. So she's like, who went through my boxes? What is going on here? And so she asked James, and he's like, I wasn't out there at all. I've been at work, whatever. I did not go through the boxes. She's like, well, must have been one of the boys looking for something, looking for a toy or a game or something. So they question, military people. They question the sons. They sit them down and interrogate them. I don't know if they did that. I'm making that up. But neither one of their two sons, and these are preteens. I think they were 10 and 12 at the time. So young boys, and both of them deny it. And Brittany believes them and thinks something's up, but James is kind of like, nah, it's probably just one of the boys, and they're just afraid to admit it. Obviously, this is a new mom, well, stepmom, and they don't want to disappoint her. They don't want to get in trouble, so they're probably just fibbing about it, right? But Brittany is kind of more a little suspicious. Like she's not sure what's going on, but she believes the boys. So nobody claims responsibility for the garage thing. And then not too long after the garage incident, Brittany is home alone. She's in the master bedroom. She's doing her makeup, watching a YouTube makeup tutorial. I've been there. I don't know what to do with my makeup. So I watch those tutorials. I totally get it. And she hears suddenly the front door slam shut. And it startles her because she's home alone. Like I know you're not a woman, but as a woman, if I'm home alone and something weird's going on, it startles me.
Yeah, definitely.
And I want to check it out. And I grab a weapon and I check the house, but that's me. I'm not
Yeah,
most of
yeah.
it.
Marines have very short tolerance for people showing up unannounced and uninvited. So when even if the doorbell goes off, if
Mhm.
there's a knock on the door and I'm not expecting somebody, is the alert goes up. So yeah, I
Yep.
totally see where you're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. And my husband has trained me well, not only in being more self-aware, like aware of my surroundings, which I was not at all when we first got together, by the way. I'm way more aware of my surroundings now, and I'm way better trained at how to defend myself if something was to happen.
That's
And
awesome.
doing this true crime stuff kind of puts you on high alert too, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit about the Levi Smith video that
Mhm.
I had done,
Yeah.
and it's like one of the things I said in that video was how awesome is this woman who knew something could happen and put it together this amazing security system that was able not only to deter an assailant but also help get him captured.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, good on her.
she's awesome. I think that's great.
Yeah. So she's doing her makeup, sitting in her room watching the YouTube makeup tutorial. So there's noise going on. So she's like, "Did I hear like is that just me? Was it like outside? I don't know." So she goes down to check it out and the front door is unlocked, but she knows she locked that door because she's like me, is very aware when you're home by yourself, you lock the doors. I make sure the doors are locked when I'm home alone. And she was the same way. I totally get it. So she's kind of weirded out about it. And um, when James and the boys get home, she said she was thinking, oh, I was upstairs, maybe they popped in and, like, grabbed something and left right like, they forgot something and left right away. James did not come home all day. He's like, "We weren't there, it wasn't us," which is freaky, to say the least, but they kinda also write that off, like, "Oh, just maybe I did forget to lock the door and the draft closed it," or something.
You never want to go because you always feel silly. You go to the most ridiculous conclusion,
Mhm,
and then you feel weird about it, and
mhm.
so you won't let yourself go there. And
Exactly.
and I think a lot of people are like that. You hear something banging on a window, and you're like, oh, well, something just hit the glass.
Mhm.
Something just shook. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, bird hit
And
the window, something.
then you go out and you find footprints in a cigarette outside your window, and you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna need to talk to somebody about that.
Mhm, exactly. So that very same night of the door, she hears the door, that very same night, James is asleep, she's laying in bed, and she hears the front door not slam this time, but open and then close. And she does the same thing, she questions, that did I hear what I thought I just heard? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I heard what I thought I just heard. Um, then so she keeps listening. She turns off whatever YouTube video she's got in her earbuds and she's listening. Then she hears a different door, not the front door this time, a different door in the downstairs open and close. And keep in mind all the bedrooms were upstairs. So there's nobody downstairs. The kids are asleep, or she thinks the kids are asleep, and James is lying right next to her. So she frantically wakes up James, shakes him awake, and says, I heard something. And he kind of brushes her off, like, no, it's just your imagination. You're freaked out from the door thing earlier. Just your imagination, honey. Go back to sleep. Then he hears it. He hears the back sliding glass door open and close. That can't be caused from a draft, by the way. The
Yeah.
sliding, yeah, the sliding glass door. It's the sliding glass door. Um, so yeah, he's goes down and checks it out, and he swears he locked the doors before he went to bed. And military guy, he's in the Navy, but as a Marine and married to a Marine, I know y'all check the doors. If you say you check the doors, you check the doors, right?
Right. Very security conscious.
Yeah, exactly. So not only is the front door unlocked, the back sliding glass door is unlocked. And so now he's a little freaked out. But again, they sort of write it off like maybe I forgot. Like you were saying, you don't want to jump to there's somebody breaking in my house over and over again, you
Right,
know?
right. It's just you don't want your mind to go there, and especially if that's not to sound sexist or anything, but if you're the man of the house, you don't want to create panic with the people who live in the home, and you
Absolutely.
don't want to. You always want to find that rational solution.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, sometimes you start working your way down the list, and Terry just said, think horses, not zebra. Well, yeah,
Mhm.
you want to start thinking with the most obvious solution first, and when that starts to fall apart, which I think they're getting to that point that something's not right.
Yep.
They're getting there really quick.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, they the sliding glass door thing is what did it for me because it's like maybe the door's not latching. It's a new house. They just moved there. Maybe it's not latching properly and the wind is kicking it open and closed. Maybe there's a draft that closed the interior door, whatever interior door slammed downstairs.
Right.
There's other explanations. You hear some weird noise in the attic. Could be a mouse, right? It could be a
Sure.
squirrel. It could be a pipe. Like the pipes in this house might be weird. Who knows? You could chalk it up to a number of different things. That
Right.
sliding glass door though, like, what do
Yeah,
you
the
chalk
sliding
that
glass
up
door.
to?
Yeah, that thing would have to be built at an amazing slant, and
Yeah.
it would have to have the best bearings to ever be put in a sliding glass door. And I used to do
Mhm.
construction,
Yeah.
and those things when they work,
Mhm.
even still, they take some effort. But just to have one that opens and closes like that, I've never seen one that can open and close that smooth.
Yeah. So
Insane.
after this whole door thing in the middle of the night, they start bickering about it. They start arguing about it. You forgot to lock the glass or the door. No, I locked it. You must have unlocked it. Did you let the dog out and forget to lock it? Like just the normal husband and wife bickering. And it makes me a little sad just because what we know, what you all will find out in a couple of minutes is it wasn't them and there was no need for them to be bickering. They needed to be on the same team on this one and they do end up getting on the same team, which is great news. But yeah, they had adopted a dog when they arrived in Hawaii. I don't remember if I mentioned that or not, but this dog would like bark and growl at seemingly nothing. Obviously, I have 2 dogs, my beautiful co-host Xena, and then there she is. My my beautiful co-host Xena, wake up. No, she's asleep. Um, and also, my husband has a dog named Ava who's here sometimes. If you guys come back, you'll see Ava from time to time as well. But when they bark or growl at something, I can most of the time look out the window and see somebody's walking their dog down the street, or the Amazon guy is here, or the neighbor slammed the car door. The chickens next door are like when the rooster next door starts making noise, they bark, that sort of stuff. This dog not only was barking normal, but growling, which is weird. I've been a dog owner my whole life. They don't usually growl unless something's wrong.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
now
when your
they're
dog starts
like,
growling, there's an issue.
yeah, the Campbells are starting to think they have a ghost. At this point, it's like, what other explanation could
Oh,
it
their house is
possibly
definitely
be?
haunted.
Yeah, I would think the same thing. I have thought the same thing. I really think I might have a ghost in my house. I don't even believe in ghosts necessarily, but there's been some weird stuff going on in my house in the last couple of years. Just saying.
Yeah,
uh,
I've had to do security checks at when I was a police officer at
mhm,
cemeteries and stuff,
yeah.
and being out there all alone, middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah, your mind will play tricks on you.
It and logic. I'm a very logical person. I really don't believe in ghosts,
Mhm.
but some weird like when weird stuff happens, your mind will go there. whether you believe in ghosts or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have this thing with the doors, they have this thing with the dog growling. This is all, they're able to explain most of this stuff away in their minds, for now. They're able to, the whole thing with the pipes, maybe the house is settling. It could be. It could have been a draft. The puppy could just be doing puppy stuff, maybe the stuff in the garage was the kids and they just didn't want to admit it. So about after a week after this whole door slamming incident and the dog growling, James is home alone and he's playing the piano downstairs. So he's downstairs in the living room and playing the piano. And out of the corner of his eye, he looks up and sees a shadowy figure, is how he described it, standing outside of his window in the yard, staring at him. That's enough to freak me out. I'm done. That's it. Hey, Frauder Reaper, I haven't seen you in a long time. Sorry, just got distracted. Could somebody link her channel in the chat, please? We have some new people here. Y'all should go subscribe to Frauder Reaper. She has a great channel. I would appreciate that. And any of your people who have channels, feel free to let my mods know and they will link them in the chat.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So he's home alone playing the piano. He sees the shadowy figure and he jumps up. He sees the shadowy figure like go to one side, like he's going around the house. He goes and looks out the window. Guy's gone. He goes to the next window, goes out in the backyard. Dude, shadowy figures just disappeared. Like he's just gone. He's like, what? Where did this guy go? I know I'm not seeing things. I know it was daytime. I know I saw this guy.
It was daytime when that happened?
I believe so. I could be wrong.
Oh,
I
no,
could
no.
be making stuff up.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, the daytime thing just makes that even more creepy. Well,
Creepy.
remind me to come back to that because that's a whole different thing, criminologically speaking. So remind me to come back to that.
Okay. Let's see, where was I?
Shadowy figure chased him and he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. So then, about a week after that, he is. Why is my? There we go. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the. Here's James and Brittany, by the way. I meant to have their pictures up while I was talking about them. Aren't they the cutest couple ever? I think they're adorable. So he's home alone with the boys. Him and the boys are just having, Brittany's out shopping, whatever she's doing. I'm not sure, but she's out of the house. And James notices on the calendar this note written on the calendar. And it doesn't look like Brittany's handwriting, but he's thinking, well, maybe it's just Brittany playing a joke on me. I'm not sure, but it says set up all your devices at home. Start your rehabilitation. Learn. 2 exclamation points with a smiley face. And then it also says try and clean your home. Pick one and do what I did today. He's like, what is this weird cryptic note? It doesn't look like Brittany's handwriting, but maybe, she's just messing with me. So he doesn't even say anything about it. He thinks that it's her way of telling him to clean up the house. So he and the boys spend the afternoon cleaning the whole house, which is, very nice. Great. But turns out Brittany didn't write this note, guys. It was the dude. It was the shadowy figure. He wrote the note in their kitchen, by the way. This is not outside anymore. This is in the kitchen. It's not in the garage. It's in the kitchen, which is very close. Like that's too close for comfort. The garage is really too close for comfort. So a little bit after this clean the house day, the whole family's going to go out to see a movie. Family day, go into the movies, and Brittany likes to take her favorite throw blanket with her to the movies because when you live in hot climates, which you do, I know I do as well, they keep those theaters so stinking cold that you have to have a sweatshirt or a blanket with you. It's 100 degrees outside and it's like 60 degrees in the theaters, which personally, I never thought to bring a blanket with me, but from now on, I will not be embarrassed to do that. I usually just put on a pair of jeans and grab a sweater and bring it with me, but
Yeah, that's kind of a player move right there. Just to
it
bring a blanket with you. It's like, no, I got this.
yeah, it really is. I love that. I love that about her. Yeah, just bring a blanket. I have a favorite throw. I could bring it. So it's usually in the living. It just lives in the living room. This throw blanket. She uses it all the time. She goes to get her blanket off the back of the couch. It's not there. She's like, "Where's my blanket?" So she has the whole family looking for this blanket now. It's not where it normally is. They're looking in the laundry room, they're looking in the bedrooms, they look all over the house, cannot find this blanket. Then, so they're like, well, I'll just bring a different blanket. And they go to the movies. They come home. Brittany's favorite blanket is folded neatly in its home on the back of the couch where it always is.
Oh no. No.
That is like, I would be freaking the heck out if that was me. Like,
That house would have
freaking
been
out.
that house would have already been sold. I'd have been
No,
gone.
like, but at this point, are you still thinking ghost? What? I don't know what I would be thinking at this point.
I'm thinking about finding a realtor and getting out of there.
Just, I mean, if you
I'm
have
done.
just burn it down. You have good insurance. It's fine. Yeah, when I got to this part of the story, this is the part where this is where I would be freaking out. I think everything else, my brain works too logically where going to somebody's living in my home would not even occur to me. I would be the ghost route probably. I would be thinking like all of the things they thought, the wind, all of the stuff, the door slamming, shadowy figures. Maybe I'm just seeing things. It was just out of the corner of his eye. The blanket thing, when you know, not only did you look, James looked, the kids looked, it was not there. And they walk in and it's just like, right there, neatly folded. It wasn't even like stuffed down in between the cushions or something where they could have missed it. Yikes. So they decide a couple weeks after that, they're like, we have got to get out of here for a little while. They decide to go on vacation and they're going to go back to the mainland, visit family, which is great that he was able to get leave and all of that. They're going to leave for a week. They leave actually on Friday the 13th, Friday, September 13th. I think we're in 2018, did I say? 18, 19, something like that. So not too long ago. They decide they're going to go on vacation. They come home on September 20th. This is where stuff gets crazy, guys. They fly in. Their house is very near to the airport. And I had the map up earlier, but the airport is right next to the base, and they said the base was right down the street from the house. So it's not too far of a drive from the airport. They turn the corner. They're in a cul-de-sac, so they're coming down the street. They can see their house in front of them. And James's very expensive bicycle. It's a road bike. It's out in the driveway, just not even stood up. He took very good care of this bike. He loved this bike. He was one of those people who loved to ride on the street and block up traffic. You know those people. I don't know if I really don't know. I was making that up. I don't know if it was a mountain bike or whatever, but um, it was a very expensive bike, and he wouldn't just leave it laying out in the rain on the driveway like a child, you know? And Brittany said, like, looks at him. He's like, "Did you leave your bike out?" He's like, "No, I didn't leave my bike out. That's like, why would I do that? It's a very expensive bicycle." They are coming in. They hit the button for the garage door before they get to their house. It's raising up as they're pulling in the driveway, and they see their garage is trashed. It is ransacked. There is stuff everywhere. And of course, what would your first thought be if you saw your garage like that?
that the house had been burglarized.
Rob, that's exactly that's exactly right. That's exactly what James thought too. We have been robbed. So he says, kids, whatever you do not get out of this car. You stay here. Brittany, you call the police. Here's a picture of their garage. It's not a very clear picture, but that's the picture they took of the garage. This is what the inside of the garage looked like. He says, Brittany, call 911, and he is going to go in the house just to check to make sure that whoever robbed them is not still there, which is the very military thing to do. That's exactly what my husband would have done. Is do not go anywhere until I clear the house.
That's right.
And so he goes to go to the front door, but first next to the house he had left a sledgehammer, which is amazing that there happened to be a sledgehammer just out where he could grab it right away. I always get on to Dave about leaving his tools the last place he used them, but in this situation, turned out okay. You know, like, oh, you need a you need a flathead screwdriver. It's not in the toolbox. Where's the last place you used a flathead screwdriver?
You know, from a military and law enforcement perspective, that particular choice of implement just raises a bunch of questions. And I get they're just coming back from a trip, and you know, very difficult to take a firearm through an airport, but yeah, that would not be my first choice.
No, absolutely not. But they were just on their way home from the airport.
Right. So, I know you got to give a little grace.
A little grace.
You do what you got to do in the situation. Sure.
Exactly. All right. So she's on the phone with 911. He grabs the sledgehammer, walks up to the door, and puts his key in. And his key won't turn. But it's not like it won't turn like the lock has been changed. It won't turn as if somebody's holding the little, the little on the inside, there's a switch or a latch or whatever. It's like somebody's holding that. That's why it won't turn. Like he feels it give a little bit, but somebody's holding it locked, like the deadbolt locked. What is happening here? Is it the ghost? I don't know. But he finally does get it open, and he gets the door cracked, and standing face to face, this close from him, is a man standing in his home. Freaky. Totally freaky. And sorry, I lost my place on my notes. This is a live show, people. So in a very calm voice, Ezekiel Zayas, who's inside of his home, says to James, very calm, low voice, "This is not your house. You have the wrong house." What? Okay, buddy. So Brittany's seeing all of this, and she's relaying everything that's happening to the 911 operator. There's a dude in her house. My husband has a sledgehammer, the whole thing. I'm honestly surprised that Ezekiel Zayas did not die via sledgehammer that day, because if it was my home, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have ended up in jail, is all I'm saying. Especially with the kids in the car,
Yeah, when you add kids into the equation, it's pretty much all bets are off at that point.
Mm-hmm. Here's Mr. Zed in the chat right now, and this is a true story. He cleared the house one night because someone claimed they saw someone in our house and described this person in detail. Someone who no one knew. That is a true story, and that is why I think I have this whole story that Mr. Zed is saying right here is why I think I might have a ghost, because one of our friends who was here said, "Who's the guy? Who's your friend that I passed in the hallway?" And he describes this guy. This person doesn't exist, by the way. And it was either New Year's or 4th of July, but we had a bunch of people here, and the friend who was staying at our house just thought it was somebody at the party or whatever. And I'm like, that's not a person that we know. That's nobody. What are you talking about? And Dave, Mr. Zed, literally cleared the house like you would in a military exercise, every single room, every single closet. It was It was interesting to watch. I felt very safe after that night, I'll tell you that much. But I think we might have a ghost, so I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Or my friend who saw the person was way too drunk, one or the other.
We've
Could be
all done.
either. Could be either. Sorry, it's allergy season over here. So he's finally able to get the door open. He grabs Ezekiel and picks him up and slams him to the ground on the sidewalk outside of the house and holds him there. Meanwhile, Brittany's on the phone saying, "We've got him." My husband's holding him down. And James is asking, "Who are you? What are you doing here? What do you want?" And then James notices that Ezekiel is wearing his clothing, James's clothing. He's like dressed up as James, like he took over his life. So James held him there until the police arrived. Ezekiel was arrested, and I have a little video about that. Let's share that. And then we're going to get into, you're going to tell us about frogging and stuff like that as soon as we're
Yeah.
done with the story. In case you guys are wondering why I'm not letting Derek speak, I will let him speak, I promise.
And now new at 9, a nightmare for one Oahu family. They went on vacation and returned only to find a stranger living in their home. And it only gets even more bizarre from there. Kimberly Speakman tonight with the story you'll see only on KHON2. Kimberly?
Howard, the family tells me the man not only trashed their home, he left them all sorts of disturbing notes throughout the house.
He violated our family, he violated our home.
This is the man she's referring to, a stranger who broke into their locked home and transformed it into his own, even taking videos of himself with their computer. But they say what's even more disturbing are the notes he left for them.
It was strange, and he wrote about like wanting to perform surgeries on us and transform us and stuff like that.
They found weird concoctions in the kitchens, items left out, and bodily fluids all over furniture.
Everything was torn apart, like Brittany's, things were put out on display and kind of organized but chaotic at the same time.
They didn't even know he had made himself at home until they returned.
I got to the front door, and when I got there, there was a stranger at the door. I yelled at him to get out of the house, get out of the house.
Police arrived at the scene and arrested him. Ezekiel Zayas was charged with burglary, but a judge allowed him to be put on supervised release while he awaits trial.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying that he's out, and this seems like somebody who needs help. Him just being released back to the streets under supervised release seems inappropriate. Someone like this needs some mental health care.
I'd like for
due process.
Yeah, I'd like for due process, and I'd like to, see this through and make sure that it doesn't just get dropped and kind of swept under the rug.
Zayas' trial date has been set for November 25th. The family has since found a new home and will be watching what happens next. Back to you.
Yeah, I would have definitely found a new home as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's crazy.
Yeah, totally freaky, right? The supervised release thing. What do you think of that?
Well, anybody familiar with my channel is going to tell you that there are certain crimes where supervised release is just not. When did I do a video about that? I don't know. It's been about 5 or 6 weeks ago. I did a video about how I think that prosecutors' offices should start hiring criminologists to look at the different crimes and make recommendations for the investigation, trial strategy, but also to look at different crimes and look at the offender and say, hey, this is not a candidate for supervised release. This is not a candidate for parole, probation, or anything like that. So when you see somebody like Ezekiel Zayas who gets out on supervised release after committing the crime that he did, and
Mhm.
a lot of times I said the courts look at this as, well, he didn't hurt anybody. Nobody was hurt. It's just property damage. That's not the
Ugh.
I that's not yeah, exactly. That's not the issue. Uh,
Yeah.
the issue is this could have been escalated, and
Mhm.
there's we'll get a little deeper into that, but obviously there was an escalation coming.
Mhm.
And so when I see these cases and I hear, I did a video about a woman who had been kidnapped in California, actually kidnapped,
Mhm.
and then her kidnapper was allowed to be out on supervised release, and it's just like, what are you thinking? It's like,
Yeah.
what are you going to say when somebody out on supervised release? And I think that turned into a whole different conversation about, where does the accountability for the criminal justice system come in?
Mhm.
So
Exactly. So where were we at? So once Ezekiel, they took him away. This is where the supervised release comes in. They didn't find the stuff on the computer that we're going to talk about until after. So it was 8 days later that they found that. So they're letting him out on supervised release, and then the couple, the Campbells, petition the court to because they find some stuff on the computer to get the supervised release revoked. So when they go to their or when they are able to get back into their home and see what's up in there was a lot of weird stuff going on. Every single room was trashed except for the boys' room. The boys' room, the beds were made meticulously. Every single toy was put away in the exact spot where the toy goes, which Brittany said is unusual for the kids. Like when they are told to clean their rooms, they just shove stuff wherever. But it had been like cleaned and organized. There was no dust or dirt or anything anywhere. The rest of the house, including the garage, all of the family's possessions were out and arranged in these weird piles of that didn't make much sense. There was notes. You saw the calendar note from that they had noticed a couple of weeks ago. Uh, just trash everywhere. All their stuff had been like sorted through, like everything that they owned. The living room, they found a bunch of prescription bottles. That's in this picture here, down there in on the bottom, that were not theirs. It wasn't like he had emptied out their medicine cabinet and put their stuff out. These are random drugs from different people. It wasn't even one person. It's like this guy had been going into other people's homes and stealing prescriptions.
yep,
There was the master bedroom. This is the freaky part. Get ready, hold your horses, guys. This is the freaky part. Um, in the master bedroom, everything had been gone through, but on the bed was made. There was towels laid out on the bed, and next to the towels, there was knives and medical instruments laid out, spaced apart, like you would see in an operating room, right? Uh, their Their old laptop was also out on the bed and opened, but the screen was black because it obviously wasn't being used right at that moment. But when they clicked the button on the laptop, the screen lit up and a Word document came up. And it's time for a commercial break, and then you're gonna tell us about the Omnivore Trials, which is the name of the Word document. But I am so happy that each and every one of you are here. Wayne, Mr. Zed, Erica, Cool Clearwater, all of you, every single person, Major Victory, Terry, Yo Mama. By the way, Yo Mama is my mama, so you guys behave yourselves out there. My mom's um,
Terry is my mama, so
oh, okay. Terry, meet Yo Mama. Yo Mama, meet Terry. There we go. This doesn't get sponsored because I talk about stuff that YouTube doesn't want me to talk about. So if you would like to make a donation via super chat, obviously Xena, wake up. Xena gets the milk bone on air, but if you want to help out, to support the channel and actually purchase something, you can go to ktz.com. That's KTZED.com. And on there, I have different people's merchandise on there. By the way, when you need merchandise, let me know. I have a website. Right now, the featured collection is Patriot Jam. Obviously, we just finished Patriot Jam, but you can get any of these designs here, shipped directly to your house. If you want KDZ merchandise, it's here. You can get the True Crime with Xena featuring KDZ merchandise because, of course, I know you guys are not here to see me. You're here to see Xena. There's her sleeping right there. That's what she does best. All of the things, the Crime Land stuff, the Overruled stuff, the Xena stuff. I would appreciate it if you bought something. That'd be great. But along with all of my merchandise, you can get Iggy Normus's stuff. You can get KFAR stuff. The Sunset Saints is a band that played at Patriot Jam. Their merchandise is up there now too. The one that I want to point out is the Christ is King collection. I have the shirt on right now. There it is. The Christ is King collection. This is a collaboration that I did with Iggy Normus and Let's Be Frank from the Let's Be Frank YouTube channel. And every single penny that we make on any of these products goes to onemorechild.org. This is a Christ-centered nonprofit organization, and they help out families in need. They help out single mothers. They help out women who decide not to abort their babies. They decide not to kill their babies. Imagine that. And they actually will help these women with baby supplies and things like that. So the Christ is King collection, the King collection on ktz.com. Like I said, every single penny goes to onemorechild.org. We've already raised $138 for them. And I appreciate, honestly, I'd rather have you guys get this stuff, or the link is in my channel description. If you want to donate to them directly, let me know that you have done so, and I will shout you out on my show for sure. But I would much rather raise money for them than for me. So I would appreciate that. That's KTZED.com. You can get all of the things there, and I would appreciate it. That's the commercial, guys. Did I do good? Did I do okay? All right, back to the show. You're going to tell us about the omnivore trials. So they open up their computer and they see this Word document labeled the omnivore trials. And while you're telling us about it, I'm going to get a picture up on the screen of that.
Okay. Let me grab it right quick. Now you see, I just had it pulled up just so I wouldn't lose it. And what's the first thing that happened?
You lost it? You were so interested in my advertisement that you lost it.
I was lost. I was mesmerized. Here we go.
I've got to get one of those T-shirts, man.
I have to. I need Nala. That's my Nala the crime fighting wonder mutt. That's my pup. She needs one of those. She needs one of those
bandanas. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the omnivore trials, and this is, so correct me if I'm wrong, this is how he labeled that document?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Weird. Okay, so I've read this a couple of times, and it's a hard read, so kind of bear with me. Transformation process, a rehabilitation for rat-like people created by, and then the name's redacted.
Mm-hmm.
Day 2, cosmetology. Today's trial consisted of trying to use makeup for cosmetic changes. It kind of failed, but I believe there will be progress. It's hard to figure out what to do because I still haven't had a real connection with the consultant. I want to get closer, but I guess we both have a fear of something that we are. I'm easily freaked out by human forms, and they believe I'm a narcissistic human in a way. I just want them to looks perfect. I want them to feel beautiful. I believe that even the way they are is possibly one of the most beautiful creatures I've ever seen, but I'm a quote unquote weird guy, so I guess that's why. But the trials will be completed. We will have a base home where we can go if needed, and eventually we will have other homes and places we can go to and enjoy our lives. Makeup used today, avocado oil, and really bad judgment. LOL.
Yikes. Did you want to read the part I highlighted for you as well? Do you have that pulled up or you want me to go into it?
Which
On
part
the
did you
notes?
have? Yeah, because I can't see the highlighted part.
Okay, that's fine.
I didn't get the highlighted part. Now that I think about it,
That's okay. I got it.
go for
So
it.
in this document, and then I see you guys' super chats. As soon as I'm done with this part, Zena will get her treats. I appreciate it so much. By the way, thank you so much for donating. This document was a detailed diary of the Campbell family. Now imagine you've just gone through this traumatic experience where some dude's in your house after you get back from vacation, and you find this this Word document. In this document, there's details about their life that nobody knew. It's not like they were keep in mind, they were just thinking they didn't even put 2 and 2 together yet. They thought that it was just some dude that broke into their house while they were on vacation at this point until they find this document. There is detailed notes recounting intimate conversations that James and Brittany had in their master bedroom about their children and their family. There was notes about Brittany's struggle with infertility that she had not even told her family about yet. Nobody knew except for James, and they spoke about it in their master bedroom. Creepy. Ezekiel even added his own thoughts on the subject, saying that Brittany needed to focus on the children she has instead of worrying about having another child. There was notes about what time the family watched TV in the evenings, what shows they watched on which days. Just like keeping track of these people. James' work schedule, the kids' school schedule was in there. It goes on into details on how Ezekiel could fix or reform the family with different surgeries. Yikes, with the instruments laid out on the bed, including sexual reconstruction and a hand or arm transplant. I don't know what that was about. Your guess is as good as mine. But also on this laptop, they looked at the search history, and there was like he had been shopping for surgical tables. I don't know, on Amazon. I'm not sure where, but he was Googling surgical tables and how much they cost. He was looking into how to surgically remove a human arm and reattach it, how to perform gender reassignment surgery. Throughout the document, he refers to the family as specimens or creatures, never by their names or as humans. The also on the laptop that was out on the bed, there was videos that he had recorded on Brittany's current laptop. She had noticed, like, hindsight is 2020, right? She had
Right.
noticed the light on her webcam going on and off throughout the day, but she especially noticed it at night when the room was dark, obviously, because the laptop was in their bedroom on a desk in their bedroom. And this is how he was spying on them, obviously. Uh, she had noticed that in hindsight. She had noticed it going on in the middle of the night and stuff like that. She found video files on the old laptop that were from the perspective of her current laptop. And there was also, like they said in that video we just watched, there was video of Ezekiel sitting at Brittany's desk putting on makeup, and like there was one where he like had shaved and put makeup on like half of his face, which is in the thumbnail, which was the freakiest picture I've ever seen, which is why we included it there, right? The full document has not been released, but Derek read the excerpt from it, and there's a reason why it had not been released, and I'm going to share that with you now. And I'm going to get the milk bones ready for the people who have super chatted. I know you guys are here to see Xena. I get it. I understand. She's pretty cute. All right, here we go. This is from Brittany's TikTok. This is Brittany now, and she doesn't talk a lot about this incident. Her channel is mostly about homeschooling her kids and eating healthy and things like that. It's a great TikTok channel. Highly recommend. Go subscribe to her over there, especially if you're into that sort of healthy living, homeschooling your kids type of stuff. But this is about the omnivore trials.
Hey everyone, so I'm getting a lot of people who keep asking me like why I haven't uploaded any of the omnivore trials, like the video that was made in our house, and any of the like documents that were written, like kind of the guy's manifesto, mainly because it includes a lot of inappropriate content. He says a lot of disgusting stuff about me, about my family. There's violence towards children mentioned in it, and a lot of it just isn't really appropriate to be put out. I still have a hard time going through a lot of it. I'm working on making kind of an edited down version for people. So I just wanted you guys to know that I am seeing that you want it. I'm just still working on it.
Yeah, so that makes sense to me. I understand why she wouldn't want, I could understand why she wouldn't want to put that out there just unedited, right?
It's so nice to see a content creator like use some common sense and some filter. Like, hey, maybe not everybody in the world needs to see this, and does a great job kind of explaining that why she didn't do it.
Exactly.
And that's terrible. I can't even imagine.
Real quick, thank you very much for like I said, this is live and this is what we do over here, so I appreciate you putting up with this. But thank you very much, person 1122, for the super chat. Xena, wake up. she's very sleepy. We got a couple of these to do, so let's get it done. Here goes Xena. Do a shake. Do a shake. Oh, there it is. You got to get up. Here. Thank you, Parson. And Smith W. Thank you very much, Smith. Huzzah. What is AESOP? I'll think about that. Maybe let me know in the chat because I'm kind of blank.
Like the fables?
Maybe. Maybe. Do another shake. There you go. That's close enough. Get up. Get up, girl. And one more. I saw Cool Clearwater. Thank you very much, Cool Clearwater. Treat catching. Oh, you think she's gonna catch it right now? She won't even like pick her head up to get it. You really think she's gonna catch it? Okay, we'll try. Ready, Xena? I gotta back up. You ready? Ready? No. Hit her right in the face. Hit her right in the face. We knew that was gonna happen. She's an old girl, Thank you. And I think we needed a little puppy time for all the horrible stuff we were just talking about. So that was perfect timing. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let me put this back up here. Oh, wait, we got one more. One more just came in. Got it in under the wire. By the way, if anybody super chats in between now at the end of the show, we're going to hold off till the end and we'll do it again then. Thank you very much, Erica. Yes, much love for Xena. We'll see if she can catch this time, right? Do we want to take bets on whether it'll just hit her in the face again or if she'll catch it? Take bets in the chat. All right, you ready? You can do it. No, she missed and it fell on the floor. We'll give her another one. There you go. She's got it. Thank you, Erica. I appreciate you more than you know. Erica's one of my mods and is holding off the enemies over there. All right. So, yeah, this guy is something else, right?
Yeah. There's But there's a couple of things about him that actually, from a criminological perspective, make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Okay, so he's there's no doubt in my mind he has had an extensive history, probably related to burglaries
Yes.
and getting into people's home. Of course, the medication not belonging to anybody in the home and it belonging to different
Just
people kind
random
of
people.
confirms that. Uh,
Mhm.
so I mean, you're not, you're not making any kind of prediction there. I mean, it's just pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But it also shows. We had talked about. I wanted you to remind me about whether it being day or night when
Oh,
he
yeah.
was standing at the window. Okay, because usually criminal activity is committed at night
Mhm.
because it's harder to see. It's easier to avoid detection. So somebody standing
And
outside your home during the day.
just so you know, I don't know if it said day or night. I think sometimes when I read stories, I get a picture in my head, and in my head, it was during the day, but it very well could have been at night, but let me know the difference between the 2 either way.
Okay, yeah, sure. So if you're doing that at night, you're trying to stay secreted. You're trying to
Mhm.
stay isolated. You're avoiding detection, which makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
That could also show that the offender is very organized. Okay, Ezekiel Zayas would actually be considered a disorganized offender.
Mhm.
But if if he's willing to make contact, willing to be seen in the light of day, that's something completely different because this is somebody who wants to be known and
Mhm.
wants to be seen and is not afraid about being caught and
Yeah.
he's not afraid about being confronted. So if if the individual shows up and it's daylight outside, you're probably dealing with a more dangerous type of offender than you'd be
Yeah.
dealing with somebody at night. Um, Yo Mama actually put something in put a comment down there, and we didn't get a chance to go through it. Would it be possible to get that back up?
Let me see. Which one was it about?
Uh, it was a long question she had, and I wanted to see if I could answer that because it was a really good question.
Was it
And
that?
so, did he choose this family and hide in their house to set up this creative experiment, or did he do this frog and then sort of accidentally start this experiment? Okay, so that's a great question right there
Okay.
because there are two types of froggers. Okay, you have
Mhm.
property fixated and you have person fixated.
Okay.
This person becomes fixated on the property, which really doesn't count in this case.
Mhm.
Um, there was a Netflix series on not too long ago, The Watchers or We're Watching or something like that,
Okay.
where this new family moved into this home and they're doing all these renovations, all these updates, and they keep getting these cryptic letters in their mailbox about what's going to happen to them if they don't leave. That would be somebody who's property fixated.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the family. They don't really care. They just want the family gone because they want the house to remain in whatever
Yeah.
condition it's in. But this type of frogger, he's person fixated. He's fixated. In this case, it sounds like he's fixated on the family as a whole.
Oh, yeah.
So, what it seems like to me with the preparation that he's taken and his his quirks, the documentation about things, tells me that he kind of had his eye on the family,
Mhm.
probably for a little while, and found a way to gain access into the home, found a way to be secreted in the home
Mhm.
where he wouldn't be found out.
Yep.
The only problem with that is if it hadn't been the Campbells, it would have been somebody else.
Yeah.
So, you can't sit there and say, well, the Campbells didn't do this, the Campbells didn't do that. There's no telling. It would have just as been easily for them to go down the street and find somebody else.
It could have been way worse too if it wasn't the Campbells. Because I think because it was the Campbells and it was a military guy, nobody was hurt. I mean, mentally hurt, obviously,
Yeah,
but
sure.
none of them were actually physically hurt, and that could have been way different if things didn't play out exactly the way they did.
Yeah, that's another interesting thing too. I mean, of course, being in Hawaii,
Hmm.
it's a lot like different areas of the country. You don't start a fight with somebody who has a haircut like mine in San Diego
Yeah.
because you're kind of taking your life in your own hands. Same thing
Hmm.
in Norfolk, Virginia, and places like that. So I don't know if maybe he just wasn't, because that's a huge military population,
Yeah.
and so I don't know that it necessarily would have made a difference. But what if it had been a family like you said,
Hmm.
that wasn't a military family, was just a hardworking, maybe a small business owner, something like that, with no law enforcement, military
Hmm.
background, and then he got in. Uh,
Exactly.
the other thing that's interesting is he completely trashed the house.
Hmm.
Okay, but you also said that he made sure to clean the kids' bedrooms.
Yeah, that was weird.
Was well, it is and it isn't, but usually when that shows, like, he identifies with the child
Hmm.
or the children, and that could be because of his own childhood, that could be because of his mentality, it could be because he just sees something in the children that he relates to. And so usually if you can find that one room that's not disturbed,
Hmm.
you can kind of focus your investigation on who the offender is fixated on. So in this case, it was the two boys, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is they found out after the fact that he had a spot set up in the crawl space under the house and then also in the attic. So he
Mm.
was going from one place to another. So that's where he disappeared to. The
Froggy.
shadow the shadowy figure out the window when James was playing the piano. I assume he went towards the backyard and then ducked underneath the house because when James then got to the back window, he just disappeared. He was gone.
Right,
Uh,
and that's why they call it frogging, moving from one location in the home to the other to avoid
oh,
detection.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I figured out how, like, so the term frogging's actually only been around since like 2014,
Hmm.
but that's where it came from, leaping into different parts of the house to
Okay.
avoid.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Mr. Zed says what is also interesting is that he decided to stay even after finding out it was a military family and decided to stay even with the elevated risk associated with staying.
So that would be what you'd expect to see in a disorganized offender.
Mhm.
Like, you know that if you stay in this location, something bad is going to happen to you, or something bad could happen to you just because of who's there. You know, Navy guys, they know buddies who have specialized skills. Guys in the teams, or they're friends with Marines. So it's a really bad idea to do that once you realize that the person you're fixated on has that attachment. But that's very, I'd expect to see that in somebody who's in a disorganized offender, which there's no doubt in my mind he is.
Well, and the Marines, for those of you who aren't military related or adjacent, the Marines are a department of the Navy, the men's department. But yeah.
Thank you for saying it, so I didn't have to.
Oh, I like that one.
I'm sure Mr. Zed probably would have said something if either one of us hadn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still trying to grow my channel and everything, so I'm trying to walk that line, not really poke the bear too much. But
Yeah.
thank you for saying it, so I didn't have to.
So we'll talk more about we'll talk more, but let me get through these last few tabs. So Ezekiel Zayas was a 23-year-old from Bridgeport, Connecticut. We have no idea how he got to Hawaii, but he was in Hawaii. Obviously, he had been living in the attic and the crawl space, and I don't even remember what I had pulled up to share, but we're going to share it and see what happens. Share this tab instead. Click. I have to click all the buttons in the correct order. I'm doing actually fairly well today. which is unusual. Maybe you're a good luck charm, Derek.
I wouldn't know the difference, but you're doing this news anchor. Like, he had two choices in life. He was either going to host the news or a game show.
One or the other.
There was nothing that, like, he couldn't be a car salesman or anything like that.
He needs to have the microphone with the little ball on top,
Yeah,
like a long stick like that.
He was guaranteed success, but it was going to be as a news anchor or a talk show or a game show host. So, good on him. Dreams come true.
One or the other.
Now new at 9, a nightmare for one Oahu family. They went on vacation and returned only to find a stranger living in their home. And it only gets even more bizarre from there. Kimberly Speakman tonight with the story you'll see only on KHON2. Kimberly?
Howard, the family tells me the man not only trashed their home, he left them all sorts of disturbing notes throughout the house.
He violated our family. He violated our home.
This is the man she's referring to. A stranger
Like these videos that they're showing here is from the perspective of her desk in their master bedroom. And these are the videos. I couldn't find the whole video. Like, it's not released, I guess, or I just couldn't find it, of what he did record. But there were several of them. The one with the makeup with his face half done, and this one. But this is what they're showing in the background here.
who broke into their locked home and transformed it into his own, even taking videos of himself with their computer. But they say what's even more disturbing are the notes he left for them.
It was strange, and he wrote about wanting to perform surgeries on us and transform us and stuff like that.
They found weird concoctions in the kitchens, items left out, and bodily fluids all over furniture.
Everything was torn apart, like Brittany said, it was things were put out on display and kind of organized but chaotic at the same time.
They didn't even know he had made himself at home until they returned.
I got to the front door, and when I got there, there was a stranger at the door. I yelled at him to get out of the house, get out of the house.
Police arrived at the scene and arrested him. Ezekiel Zayas was charged with burglary, but a judge allowed him to be put on supervised release while he awaits trial.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying that he's out. This seems like somebody who needs help. Him just being released back to the streets under supervised release seems inappropriate. Someone like this needs some mental health care.
I'd like for
due process.
Yeah, I'd like for due process, and I'd like to, see this through and make sure that it doesn't just get dropped and kind of swept under the rug.
Okay, I think we already watched that one, actually. My apologies. Here's the next one. This is where he's getting the supervised release revoked. This is what I meant to play. My apologies, guys.
We told you about a stranger who lived in a family's home while they were away. He's awaiting trial on burglary charges and granted supervised release. Now, the prosecutor's office wants it revoked. Kimberly Speakman has follow-up that's new at 9. Kimberly.
Bridget, not only is there a motion for reconsideration for Ezekiel Zayas' supervised release, but I've also learned that he's been arrested again for a new robbery case.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to get into. He was out on supervised release and then broke in somewhere else. It was like some sort of Buddhist center that he broke into while out on release.
Do you see how shocked I look?
Yeah. I think you did say 5 minutes ago about how this is a pattern for him with the prescription pills, and he's going to do it again and all that. So yes, very shocking. He did it again.
Supervised release, but I've also learned that he's been arrested again for a new robbery case.
Last month, the Campbell family came home from a week-long vacation, only to find a man living in their home. What's more, he left their house in disarray and left them disturbing messages. Ezekiel Zayas has been charged with burglary for the incident, but was let out on supervised release until his trial. According to court documents, 8 days after his release, the state received digital notes that the family says Zayas left on their computers and iPads.
They get on their computer and it's a CSI show. There's stuff that he was putting on the computer, different things he was writing about that make you think, did he do anything to our food in the refrigerator? Was he planning on doing things to our home?
The documents were enough to move the prosecutor's office to make a motion for reconsideration of Zayas's supervised release.
It is very rare. If you're going to file a motion for reconsideration, you've got to come to the court with new information, new evidence, new arguments.
And now there's another thing to consider. Zayas was arrested again on Wednesday for robbery at the Buddhist Study Center across from UH Manoa. Cal says this could change everything.
So if he was arrested after he was released on this case, that is a violation of release. If that's the case, then what the government should do is file a motion to revoke his release based on the new arrest.
As for the Campbells, their attorney Michael Green says the family's feeling much better knowing that Zayas has been found.
There's relief that the guy's behind bars. I mean, when they go to sleep at night, they don't have to worry about him coming through a window or a door. That's relief.
Yeah, especially since he was so focused on that family. I would be so worried that he'd come back, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so just to put a little bow on this particular story, and then you have another story that you're going to tell us that happened a long time. This is not a new phenomenon, guys. Derek's got stories from the olden days, but the supervised release was overturned, revoked. They put him back in jail, and he ends up killing his cellmate. So when they said, oh, well, he didn't hurt anybody, he definitely could have hurt this family. He was fixated on them. And he did end up killing his, his cellmate. He bludgeoned him to death. He beat him to death.
An OCCC inmate is dead. Another has been arrested for murder. 27-year-old Ezekiel Zayas was arrested for first-degree murder. The Department of Public Safety says OCCC staff were alerted of an assault at 9:05 last night. 62-year-old inmate Vance Grace was taken by ambulance to the hospital where he died.
Look at how different he looks in this mugshot than his first one. And this is not that long apart, but he looks like a different person. I think he might have been onto something about the makeup thing in the omnivore trials, like where he can just change his appearance by making a few little changes, because I wouldn't have recognized him, honestly.
And part of that could have been defense strategy too. Make him look as little like his mugshot photo as possible.
True. Very true. So with everything that happened with Ezekiel Zayas, I've heard it pronounced both ways, Zayas and Zayas, and I've probably pronounced it both ways, but I'm not sorry for mispronouncing your name, Ezekiel. Too bad. If it was a victim, I would definitely look it up and figure it out, but I just did not take the time. So this is from Governor Josh Green of Hawaii. Honolulu, Circuit Court Judge Rowana A. Somerville today sentenced Ezekiel Zayas to 40 years in prison arising from 4 convictions, including one for manslaughter for the August 30th, 2020 killing of his cellmate, Vance Grace, a 62-year-old, at Oahu Community Correctional Center. Judge Somerville sentenced Zayas on 4 separate criminal dockets for 4 separate crimes in case number whatever. Zayas was sentenced to 20 years in prison for manslaughter. In the second case number, Zayas was sentenced to 10 years in prison for burglary in the first degree. The third case number, Zayas was sentenced to 5 years in prison for burglary in the second degree. And in the fourth case number, Zayas was sentenced to 5 years in prison for assault in the second degree. All terms of imprisonment will run consecutive to each other for a total of 40 years. The manslaughter case was handled by the Department of the Attorney General. The burglary and assault cases were handled by the Honolulu Department of the prosecuting attorney. Today's sentencing comes exactly 3 years to the day of the Zayas' fatal unprovoked attack on Vance Grace. We are grateful that Judge Somerville agreed that Zayas deserves the maximum sentence, said Deputy Attorney General Adrian Akahua, who handled the manslaughter prosecution. Each of his victims deserve their own measure of justice. Today's sentence reflects that and protects the public for a significant period of time. What do you think of this sentence, Derek?
Well, I mean, I think the 40 years. I think the 40 years is good. Uh, I think it all works. I don't like the way they separated. So, burglary and robbery are actually two different things.
Mhm.
Robbery requires force or the threat of force, and it seems like they separated that in the Buddhist incident.
Yeah.
That should have actually been an enhancement on that. But I think 40 years is long enough to keep him on ice where he's going to be less of a threat. Now, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, he was 23, and this was what they say 4 years ago. So he's 23 at the time, 24, 25, 26, 27, 37, 47, 57. So he'd be 67 years old. Did you guys just see how I do math in my head? I did it out loud. I just don't know if that's enough. I'm afraid he's going to get out and do the same thing, even at the age of 67.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. You got to look at, is this an actual 40 years? Is this 40 years flat time, 40 years straight time, where he does every day for day? Now, if he obviously, it being Hawaii, I'm not holding my breath. So there's probably a chance that he does.
It could be half of that time.
40% of that and gets out.
Yeah, I mean, it really in Hawaii, it could be half of that time, and I don't know that for sure. I'm guessing just from laws that I know from other states. But there's some states where one good day equals 2 days of good time.
Yeah.
I also think if he's killing his cellmate, that he's not going to have a lot of I think he's going to mess up in prison to where maybe it will be the whole 40 years.
Here's the nice thing about, maybe nice thing is not the proper term, but when you have an offender like this, they tend to put targets on themselves inside the prison environment, which makes it highly unlikely that there's a good chance he's going to be a changed person when he comes out, because and by changed I mean no longer processing oxygen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because he's going to rub the wrong people the wrong way, and I wouldn't be surprised to find out if he's assaulted to the point where he's confined to a wheelchair, or if he ends up
assaulted to death.
Absolutely. I mean, it happens to a lot of offenders, you know.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Honestly, if you're interested, and anybody who's new here, if you're interested in that sort of stuff that happens in prison, I have a couple of great interviews with a gentleman named Justin Coleman, who killed somebody when he was 17 years old. He served 14 of a 15-year sentence, and he's got some stories about that. He's got some stories about how they treated people who were in for crimes against children that we spoke about on my show. And it was actually, I think, some of the best conversations that I ever had with a person. By the way, Justin made a mistake when he was 17 years old. He's very remorseful. And I was not, like some people say, I can't believe you had a murderer on your channel. Well, people mess up when they're 17. And he messed up really, really badly. But when you hear the story, I think you'll understand why I did give him a platform to speak, because he does spread the word of God and of love and of second chances now. So I can't go through a show without plugging another one of my episodes, but those episodes are great. I had him on the first time just to talk about in general his crime and what happened there, and then again on how to protect yourself against criminals. And a third time, the third one is what I think you guys would be interested in. There was a gentleman that he was in prison with who was convicted of raping and murdering a 12-year-old girl, I think, and he was in prison with this guy, and Justin said he thought about killing this guy, and it turns out it was proven by DNA that the gentleman was innocent after the fact. After he was out, he found out. And so we went through that whole story, and he actually thanks God that he did not make the mistake of murdering this man that turned out to be innocent. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, interesting show. Sorry, I got way off subject. I don't even remember what you were saying. I'm so sorry.
No, I was just Kiwi Nansen asked a question in the comments about his mental capacity and his mental culpability, because obviously this guy is dealing with some severe mental health demons.
Mhm.
Yeah, there should have been some type of psychiatric evaluation done to figure out. Yeah, that's the question right
Mhm.
there. It would have been a really good time to do that after he was arrested for this particular crime.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, prosecutors' offices having a criminologist on hand would be good, because you could
Mhm.
really get out in front of this and figure out whether this person is mentally ill, gaming the system,
Mhm.
what the deal is, what's their likelihood that they're going to be able to change one thing or another. But if it would it have would it have made a difference? I don't know that it would have. I don't know if if his diagnosis would have changed anything. And of course, once somebody turns around and commits murder inside the penitentiary, that all becomes kind of irrelevant. So
Mhm.
it would really be, I guess what I'm trying to say is the prosecution, the defense kind of did him a disservice by not having him mentally evaluated,
Yeah.
because maybe being in the general prison system was not the best place for him. And maybe he really does need a psychiatric prison, psychiatric facility.
Yeah.
Not that that's going to, not that's going to make a world of difference,
Mhm.
but at least they could have said that they did something. Because I did see something about, uh, what was he doing? His defense attorney went on the offensive and was talking about how he shouldn't have been in there in the first place, and he had all these mental
Yeah.
health issues, which I agree with. But it's kind of your job as his attorney to raise those issues and
Exactly.
make that happen. So
Exactly. So let's get into this other case, actually. Let's share this tab instead and put it on the screen. By the way, I put Derek's channel in the chat. Life to the Max just went over there and subscribed. I think all of you should do the same. Head over there and sub. Cool Clearwater just subbed as well. So
thank
definitely
you.
show him some love. Like I said, the most underrated crime channel that I've come across on YouTube. Please sub to his channel because he's going to become famous way before I am, and then he could plug my channel. I've
Uh,
been at this for years, so
Thank y'all so much. Yeah, it's been crazy.
yeah.
So I'll tell you, I found out about this case by accident,
Okay.
and I was watching. You know how you're on streaming services, you're always looking for something
Mhm.
to watch.
Yeah.
And I found this Lifetime movie, which I tend to avoid Lifetime movies like the plague. Unfortunately, lately
Same.
they've kind of come up with some good stuff. They've kind of been doing some good stuff.
Mhm.
And there was there was a movie called The Boy in the Walls or something like that. And so I watched the movie, and it was freaky,
Okay.
because it involved this 15, 16-year-old boy who became fixated on this widower's daughter. And he was keeping himself hidden in this old farmhouse.
Okay.
And the thing about these old farmhouses is there was a lot of walkway space behind the walls, so you could really move around point A to point B and get anywhere on the property really, really quick. So when I was watching this movie, I was like, this can't be real. This is just so far out there. But I was kind of relieved because I was thinking, man, Hollywood's actually stepping up their game and coming up with something original. I kind of like that. Not everything being a
Nice.
or a reimagining or whatever it is. But then I found out it was a real case. And the case involves a young man named Daniel LaPlante. This is 1986, 1987. And after going out on a date with another 16-year-old girl, he found a way to get into her home and
Yikes.
started consuming the liquor in the house, started messing with the food.
See, that's one thing I'm surprised that didn't happen in the case that was most of the show today, is that food missing and things like that. Because on these Phrogging cases, which I didn't know that's what they were called, but you always hear about, I swear I had one apple left, or you know what I mean? Or I thought I had leftovers. Who ate the leftovers?
But there's something kind of weird
Mm-hmm.
that somebody mentioned in one of the videos, was that there were bodily fluids all in every room of the house. And so when and we'll just let you use your imagination, that not everything needs to be drawn out in detail.
I don't want to know.
But you almost want to know what he did to the food. Because, I mean, you think about it, if he's willing to experiment, is he willing to mess with the food, with what people eat or drink? But if he had had any type of institutionalization for his mental illness, or had a criminal record where he did any time in jail or prison, there's a good chance that he probably didn't mess with that, because it's just kind of an understood rule. You don't mess with people's food. And there very, very few fights are more violent and deadly in a prison setting when somebody's food supply is messed with, because nobody tolerates that.
Worse than child sex offenders, huh?
Well, that's something that kind of gets found out.
Yeah.
But that the food thing, that's something that happens instantly, and that's instant justice. But so Daniel LaPlante gets fixated on this girl. He starts taking condiments out of the refrigerator and writing these horrible, threatening messages on the walls of the home. Well, after they figure out that this boy, after one of I think it was the younger sister, wakes up and sees Daniel LaPlante standing over her with a hatchet, and he's wearing a mask and all of these things. Once they finally figured that out, that he's been living there, they go through the house and they find maps that he's drawn of the house, showing where his location is, where he's got different things headed or hidden. He's got, he tells about the type of weapons he has. He's starting to formulate before he was caught, he was starting to formulate a plan for attacking the family.
Oh, it's similar to what we just talked about, where he's coming up with a plan.
There's no, like, these Phrogging cases are interesting, because the same type of people commit them, and they commit them the same type of way. And the earliest case of this I found was going back to the 1940s, and I'm sure it goes back a lot further than that. But this was during wartime, and it happened at a farm somewhere in the Midwest. And for weeks, the family had been saying, "Hey, there's something's going on," and of course, nobody wants to go, "Hey, you know what? We're just not gonna worry about it." And then one night, the husband goes to the kitchen and he's confronted by the man. They get into a violent altercation, and the homeowner was killed. And that was back in 1941.
Is this the one? This is ringing a bell to me. And full disclosure, I did not read the article you sent me here. I did not read this part of it. But is this the one where he ends up locking the wife in a closet So when the police got there, they knew that she was not the one who did it, or is that a different? There's another Phrogging case, if this is not the one, where it was a similar. It was that the one that I'm thinking of. It happened somewhere in the Midwest, but then the couple moved to California, and the Frogger followed them out to California.
Oh no, this isn't.
This is a different one.
But no, we
Oh.
should probably revisit that one because
Well,
that one's
yeah.
that's
It happened in the same time era. Maybe I'll do a little research project on that, and next month we can get together and do that one.
that is crazy because usually people who get obsessed with
Mhm.
somebody, if that person moves away,
Mhm.
they'll find somebody else. So to cross state lines like that,
Mhm.
in order to be with that person, that's
Yeah.
dangerous. That's man, that's incredibly bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Daniel Plant, he gets arrested.
Mhm.
Guess what happens to him next? He's let out on supervised release.
Every time.
Every time. I'm telling you, you watch my channel, and you can actually just see you can see the color in my face change because I just get so mad about it.
Mhm.
But he ends up killing a single mother who's pregnant and her 2 kids.
Oh no.
She was a kindergarten, first grade teacher, something like that, and it was a horrible. It was just incredibly brutal killing.
Mhm.
And he's only 16, 17 years old at the time.
Wow.
He was originally given 3 life sentences.
Mhm.
Plus what happened with I think they charged him with burglary in the original case because he didn't assault anybody, didn't hurt anybody. But with this, let's see, he had the 3 murders. Then he carjacked a woman, held her hostage. It just turned into this whole big thing. Well, recently, because of a Supreme Court decision that if you're under 18, you can't be sentenced to life in prison.
Yep.
And that is coming back retroactively.
I don't know how they can do it retroactive. That's
I don't agree with it. I think you're big enough to commit that type of a crime. You're big enough to serve out your sentence.
well, and that's the thing. The ones who are charged as adults because they do adult crimes, they should be able to be sentenced as adults. Because otherwise, why are we charging people as adults?
Agreed. Yeah, and what happens now is they'll stay in juvenile custody till they're 21 usually, and then they'll go to an adult prison.
Yep.
But then they want to say, well, I was a child when this happened, so sentencing me to life in prison constitutes cruel and unusual punishment. And I look at the people died, and I'm just like, no, not really. But according to the judge in this case, and this was just about 3 or 4 years ago, I think, when Daniel LaPlante tried to have his sentence overturned, the judge said that he had to do 15 years for each of the lives he took. So kind of extending that time and making the sentences run consecutively instead of concurrently to try to keep it in prison as long as he can. So it's nice to know there are some judges out there who have something.
Yeah. I put the link to this article in the chat. It goes over 7 different Phrogging cases if anybody's interested to read that. After the show, don't go anywhere. We're not done yet. Go ahead and read that. But it does happen, and I've seen like videos before, and I really should have looked more into it. Like I said, I've been very busy leading up to this show, but I remember seeing a video, like a little short video. You know how you get the shorts on YouTube or whatever, of somebody coming out of like a crawl space. Like they had a video camera set up in their kitchen. In the middle of the night, somebody coming out from behind, like there was a picture on the wall that swung open, and then you can go up to the attic from there, and somebody just creeping out and then raiding the fridge and going back in. And it was the creepiest video I think I've ever seen in my life.
No.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Just everybody tonight before you go to sleep, please check your attic. Just make sure nobody's up there. Like, please check
You
the
know,
basement,
I
crawl
always try,
spaces.
I always try not to be an alarmist about that stuff, but it's like so many people like have no idea. Like out where I live, there's a lot of older homes, Depression
Mhm,
era homes that have crawl spaces and everything, and
mhm.
people don't realize that those crawl spaces, not only can you get to them from inside the home, you can get to them from outside the home.
Yeah.
And if people know what to look for, they can do it. If you live in multifamily dwellings,
Mhm.
the attics are connected sometimes. And I think there was oh,
Oh, like they can go up into the attic and
attic
then
come over and come down.
oh.
Because I think, do you remember? I can't remember his last name. Daniel something. He was a law school student in Georgia who killed one of his
Yes,
classmates.
I did a whole episode. I did
Did
actually
you?
a two-parter on that one. McDaniel, Stephen McDaniel.
Stephen McDaniel. Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah, I love his face because when I was doing interviewing interrogation, one of the instructors was saying, what kind of expression are you trying to get your suspect to make? And then they showed that news clip where he just goes ghost white when they found the body.
Yeah.
And he said, that's what you're looking for right there.
Mhm.
Well, he was able to get into her home by getting up into a crawl space and coming down. And of course, that's how he ended up getting one of her secondary keys to the residence and
Yep.
making a copy of it and doing
Mhm.
all that. So, I'm not. I don't set out to intentionally scare people, but with my background and everything, I kind of go to the worst case scenario, and I want people to be as
Mhm.
ready for the worst case scenario as they
Well,
possibly can be.
also, it doesn't hurt to check. Well, it
No,
doesn't
it
hurt to
is.
check. And even if you don't find somebody in your home, you might find stuff like somebody has been in your home, and then you need to, buy a shotgun. That's all.
Right, yeah, and I mean, I think the only thing more ominous than not finding anything is finding something,
Mhm.
and, so I try not to go off on war stories and tangents, but when I was a police officer one time,
Yeah, go off. You have all the time in the world. I need to find my Stephen McDaniel episode and link it in the chat right now, so go ahead.
I got a 911 call, and I
Mhm.
was dispatched lights and sirens to this address because a lady found that somebody was living inside her house
Oh,
in
jeez.
the crawl space. And so I show up and my partner shows up and we get the lady out of the house. We put her
Mhm.
another officer who showed up. So there's three of us on scene. I told the third officer, "Hey, stay with her. We're going to go. We're going to search the outside. We're going to search the inside."
Mhm.
So we had a general idea of where all of this had taken place. But when we got into the attic and the crawl space and everything, what we found were old fast food wrappers from when the house had been built.
Oh.
But
Still
she had
would've been freaky.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Of course, you think about it, how often do you get up into the attic or into your crawl space? I mean, usually, if you're not a tradesperson, you
Mhm.
don't you don't just go jumping down in there and trying to because you don't have any business being down there. It's dark, it's creepy, it's muggy, and
Yeah.
you don't need to be down there. So, and we were able to determine that because the level of dust that was on all of the wrappers and everything, uh we did find somebody had left a full tool belt in there, and because of where it was,
Yep.
they were there was like a plenum or something in the AC that was
Mhm.
blowing the dust off of the belt, so it looked like it was fairly
Like, was
recent,
moved? Yeah.
and so that's what made her think that somebody was living up there. But we were able to assure her that nobody was living up there, and but it was. Yeah, it was crazy because like I said, the only thing creepier than finding somebody would be not finding anything, and
Yes.
we fortunately we didn't, and the lady kind of felt set, she felt silly for having called us for that, but
I hope you told her not to feel silly
oh,
because it's
absolutely, absolutely no, because what if she's the
what if it
homeowner,
was? Yeah,
she
what if it was
she doesn't have
somebody?
my experience, she doesn't know what she's looking for,
Mhm.
and so when you find when you know what you're looking for and you don't find it, you can really alleviate somebody's. But if I'd tell my own family, absolutely, you need to call the police. I'm on my way. Whatever I can do.
Yep.
So it's crazy. It's crazy.
I think I just linked the Stephen McDaniel episode for Terry, which I believe you said was your mom, right?
Yes.
The other one that I did was I did a live stream where I just live reacted to his police interrogation, which is amazing, by the way. Highly recommend. But I think maybe YouTube deletes live streams after a while because I don't see it on here. But I did come across the Justin Coleman episode, which I personally is one of my favorite episodes. So I'm going to link that one as well. Keep in mind that we are talking episode 8 and 9. We are now on episode 54 or something like that. So I was very new when I did these episodes. Just when you're watching it, keep that in mind. So I'm sure the audio and the video and the clicking the correct buttons is all very bad back then.
That in mind when you watch mine too. I'm still really new.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing though, and here's the reason why I think you are very underrated is because I know that you're new and you're doing so good for being new. I know you're going to blow up.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
You have very unique takes on things that normally when I'm watching a true crime episode, it's like you hear the same thing over and over again. People are basically, here's the way I describe it. A lot of times I find that people are doing book reports on somebody else's book report.
Right.
And I think yours is very unique where you have your own takes and insight, which is why I enjoy it so much. And that's why I do live reacts to stuff because you're getting my whole opinion. I don't hold back. I know a lot of the YouTube channels will censor themselves by saying unalived themselves and sexually assaulted. But I am not personally, I don't care about the ad money as much as I care about not downplaying somebody's experience of being brutally and violently raped by calling it a sexual assault. A sexual assault is when your coworker slaps you in the butt when he shouldn't have. When somebody is tied down and brutally raped and murdered, I'm going to say those words. And if YouTube doesn't want to give me however many cents on the dollar, for whatever that is. So that's also why I appreciate the donations because I'm going to give you the whole truth over here. You know what I mean?
Well, when I did Sarah Boone, I stayed away from that story for so long because so many people had done it.
Yeah.
But it was actually a favor to my mom. She did a special request. She's like, all right. She's like, I've been following you since the beginning. I'm making a special request.
Yeah.
And I did 4 videos about Sarah Boone and my channel. I had 140 subscribers added last month.
Yeah.
My view hours and my views just went through the roof. And I'm just like, and I'm getting a lot of good feedback, people talking about, they enjoy the fact that it's something new. It's coming at it from a different perspective. So that's wonderful. It doesn't make it any less nerve wracking because, the last thing I'd want to hear is, oh, well, you're just taking what this person did and doing this. And so I do appreciate that. It's nice to know that something I started out with just doing, just because I didn't know what else to do.
Just for fun.
Yeah. Just for fun. And it's really taken off and I appreciate that. And of course I appreciate you. You took an interest very, very early and saw some.
Thank you, Cool Clearwater. I'm giving her one of the dental chews, so maybe that'll wake her up. Wake up. There you go.
But thank you for taking an interest and taking an interest so early. It was awesome to just get your email out of the blue.
I'm hoping
you're binging my stuff. I love it when people say that. I love it. But I have one person on my channel. Like I worry about when she sleeps because like every time there's something from her, she's just finished another video, like she's going back all the way to the beginning. And it's like, when do you find time to sleep? Because she's like, at hour mark, 1 minute and 5 seconds, 1 hour and 5 minutes, you said this. And I'm like, wow, it's like you're watching everything.
Yes, she's actually watching. I watch you while I am asleep.
I'm like, man, that's a level of multitasking I wasn't sure existed, but good on you.
I do. I was telling you before the show started that I like to have my earbuds in when I'm sleeping, listening to somebody just talk that's not going to get too loud or too crazy. I can't watch a Mr. Beast video while I'm sleeping, obviously. But that's why I like the true crime stories, because for the most of the time, they're very and I didn't watch your. I mean, I probably did as well because it auto plays. But I did actually binge your stuff that one weekend.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But Mr. Zed, I'm going to tell on him right now. He snores a little bit, and having the earbuds in with something going on and the white noise machine makes it a lot easier to sleep. So, did you have anything else to add to today's show?
I don't think so. I thought just my first time doing this, but I thought it was great. It was so nice to be on video and have somebody to react to what I'm talking about. That
have the chat there.
Man, it just makes so much of a difference. It's
So are you gonna start live streaming now?
So my next video, I had a special request to talk about the Karen Reed trial, the police officers and Karen Reed trial, and the way they collected evidence. And so I'm gonna try to do a live stream there. I don't know how well that's gonna work out. I may have to reach out to you for some.
I was going to say, if you need tips and tricks and what software and all of that, let me know. I'd be happy to help. I love helping people. It does make me happy. People are like, why are you reaching out to Rant? I'm like, because it's good and I want them to be great. And so if you want a live stream, I could definitely help you set all that stuff up.
Well, I'd be grateful for that. Of course, I'm grateful to your subscribers who came over to my channel and subscribed, and to those of you from Cowboy Criminology, thank you so much for coming over and supporting this. And if you haven't subscribed to Katie Zed, please do so. She's got amazing content and she's wonderful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I live stream every Sunday at 4:30 Eastern time, and I do other shows in between here and there, but my schedule is 4:30 Eastern on Sundays. So every Sunday, if you want to just come hang out, talk to people in the chat, I like to have a good hangout. I like hanging out with my friends. You guys are in the chat right now. If you ever want to co-host for your live stream, give me a call. I have no life, so I'm usually not doing anything. And I'd be happy to come over there. End of the show. Okay, so next week, I've been researching. Do you know about the Olympic bomber case? The 1996 Olympic? Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Have you looked into this Eric Rudolph guy at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm reading his book right now. And I was going to do the Olympic bomber case last week when the Olympics started, or actually the week before, because I was at Patriot Jam last week. So I was going to do it the week before the Olympics started. And then I found that he had a book and I started reading it. And I don't know if you've ever read the Unabomber Manifesto.
Parts of it, yes.
But that's one of the ones I'm getting the same sort of thing where I don't agree with the blowing people up stuff. But some of the ideas in the manifesto, I mean, with the technology taking over the world and stuff, he was not wrong about everything, is all I'm saying about Unabomber.
It's a little weird when you read stuff like that and you find those things that you're kind of like, there's a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a little bit there that kind of makes sense. And that's the scary part.
It is scary.
It's like, wow, why am I, what's wrong with me that I'm thinking, wow, this actually makes sense. And it's like,
yeah, I'm finding the same thing with Eric Rudolph's book, which by the way is free online. It's called Between the Lines of Drift. If you Google that, it'll pop up. You get a free PDF. It's like 250 pages. The interesting part to me, not only are some of his ideas good, in my opinion. He's a God-fearing Christian, and I am as well. And, those sort of ideas line up. I would never blow something up. Like, don't take this out of context, obviously. But he goes into details about like how he hid in the woods for 5 years, which I just find fascinating. The lengths that he went through to stay hidden in the hills of North Carolina. And of course, I'm a map person. I love geography. So he's talking about a certain, gap or a certain peak, and I'm on Google Maps finding it and seeing if I can get a street view and things like that.
There's a lot of people who are lucky they're not in prison for helping him.
I agree, especially about the one gentleman, because in the book, like, I forget the guy's name, but he gave him supplies. And in the book, basically Eric totally rats this guy out. And this guy's like, I don't know. He came and stole my supplies and left $500 there. Yeah, he was a gentleman. He's passed away now, but I believe Eric's version of what happened more so than $500 worth of supplies was missing, and $500 bills were left in their place. Also, I didn't report it for 4 days to the FBI because I didn't think anything of it. Really? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I call that a clue, but
yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, Eric does go into details about all of that stuff. So I thought when I was planning to do next week's case that I was just going to go into the Richard Jewell thing, and then there was these explosions, and then they caught the guy 5 years later. End of story. But it is way more detailed than that. It might have to be a two-parter. I don't know. If I'm going to go more than 3 hours, I usually cut it into 2 parts because I think people get bored. But it's going to be interesting. That's going to be next week, Sunday at 4:30 Eastern. The other episodes that we have coming up is Ronnie O'Neill, which is a gentleman out of Florida that represented himself in trial, similar to the Darrell Brooks case. Even a little more wacky, in my opinion. But we're going to go into that case as well. And please stay in touch and hang on. We're going to do the outro, and then we can chat afterwards if you have a minute.
Sounds great.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you think it's worth sharing, please share it out as well. I would appreciate that. And whoever you share it with will also appreciate it. If you like the outro music, it is by Iggy Normus Jr., who is linked in the description. This is Brain Fog, which we heard performed live at Patriot Jam. So if you like it, check that out too. See you guys next week. Bye.